That's right, it's time for Against the Spread. And it is sponsored by our friends at DraftKings. Stay tuned because you're going to hear all about DraftKings and what it has to offer throughout the show. DraftKings, the crown is yours. Jess, kick us off.
Ooh, I am going to pick a game in college football.
Oh, I like it.
This
Teasing us.
weekend.
Wow.
And I'm going to pick an ACC matchup between North Carolina and Virginia. Virginia's favored by 4.
You're a sicko.
They've been feisty this season.
It's a classic ACC matchup.
And I think that they're going to cover this. I think they're going to cover 4 points against North Carolina. Carolina's having a really rough year. Mac Brown, one of the hottest seats, I think, in college football right now.
Ooh, the hottest
talking
seat.
about.
The hottest.
I mean, he quit.
Hotter than Mississippi State's or Mississippi Southern's head coach that got fired yesterday.
I think we got to do one of the hottest
Southern
seats.
Mississippi. I can't talk right now.
How many?
Against the Spread.
I guess it's the
Spread.
How many hot seats?
That's
Kalen
what I
DeBoer.
wanted to do. But Jessica, I don't know what happened to Jessica. We're just starting the segment. I thought we were going to take flight together.
Venables is always on a hot seat, but that's just because he's perpetually got a chapped red ass.
You're right.
He signed an extension before the season.
I mean,
Put it
Terrible,
on the poll,
terrible.
please.
Extensions mean nothing.
Juju
Terrible
at
head
the Batard
coach.
show. Is Venables perpetually on the hot seat because he's always got a chapped ass?
Let's go over to Mike.
Frozen Frenzy, as we mentioned, every game in the National Hockey League, every team in the National Hockey League has a game today, and it concludes in Las Vegas with the LA Kings, who have surprised this season, at the Vegas Golden Knights. Vegas, the favorite at home. We're going to lay the puck line on Vegas, even though we have respect for the opponent.
Much respect.
We like -1.5 at +180 against the spread. I also think Theodore gets a point.
Billy, bring us home.
This is tough this week. This is tough this week.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of games here that I'm between. I was thinking maybe taking the Patriots +7 over the Jets because I don't have confidence in the Jets.
Right.
Let's really talk it out.
What are we gonna do
You
about
have confidence
Reddick
in the
coming back?
Patriots,
I don't. Drake, maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe not. We're not sure about that one.
Ooh, can we play that?
It's a good game.
We
It's
just
a good
did.
game.
That was it.
Commanders +2.5
that's the game.
looked good, but we don't. Jaden Daniels is he
What's
gonna
the
play?
game?
We don't know or
What's
not.
the game?
Maybe or maybe not.
Yeah, Drake maybe. Drake maybe. His
Game
name's
over.
Drake May. And then you figure out week by week. Maybe.
Your thoughts, Dan?
Maybe not.
Sometimes you have a question mark, sometimes you don't.
It's maybe right now, right?
I think I'm going to settle on the Saints +7 over the Chargers. Now, the Saints have not looked good as of late, but I watched the Chargers last night. And we had a great game from Justin Herbert, who threw almost 350 yards, almost all of them to Will Dissly for some
You're
reason.
betting Spencer Rattler?
That's a choice.
I'm betting against the spread, but I'm getting against the Chargers winning by 7 points because I don't have confidence in the Chargers winning by 7 points.
All right,
I'm not sure.
all right.
Yesterday, by the way, I don't know if you
What's
guys
the
saw this.
pick?
He's not done yet. I
No,
told
listen.
you.
I need everyone to stop right
He's
now.
talking
okay?
through it.
We are in a contract year.
Correct, and I'm
okay?
giving this
DraftKings is changing the entire industry and wants us to do these well when we do the gambling segments. Jessica ran out of steam before we started. Mike went hockey aggressively, and now you're yammering your way through your pick, and I don't know what you're thinking. You're
explaining to
asking
people.
me to watch a Spencer Rattler
I'm
game.
trying to explain to people.
I actually think Tomas Hertl will also score a point in that.
20 and
know I
11
was
in my
going
big board bets,
first.
I'll have you know.
Power play point. You get extra
What do we
juices on that
organize
one.
around here? We've got a sponsored segment. I didn't know I was going first. Billy doesn't have any material. He's
That's
just
false.
yammering.
No.
Hey,
By the
I
way,
won mine last week.
I'm 30-17. Stu, you got NFL. I mean,
20
doing my part.
20 and 11.
Yeah.
Big board bets. Not bad.
So if
Will
we
Dissly
go to
looks
God Bless
ridiculous.
Football, where
What?
you have
That was a good game.
sponsored segments on your picks, that's where we'll get your real expertise. Stu Gatz
trying
and
to
Billy
give it
are
to
making people money away from here.
You'd let
All
me
they're
talk.
doing in a contract year is ruining this
You're making
particular
this go long.
segment.
Why do you
Third
gotta
time
go?
through the bed.
I
All
didn't
right.
do anything. I mean,
He's trying to make a pick.
Trying to make a pick
Shut
here,
up.
talk you through my logic here. I didn't even talk about Harbaugh wearing cleats yesterday on the
I go over
sidelines.
1.5 too.
Yeah, it was ridiculous.
Why?
I don't know because it's a dome. It wasn't even bad elements, but he was wearing cleats. Is odd.
He's a Kopitar.
He's a
Always
weird
gets some
bird,
score.
huh?
He is.
Anyways,
Ooh, he's
I'll
got it better than us.
nobody. Anyways, I'm gonna stick with the Saints +7 against the Chargers.
Against the spread.
The spread.
Contract year for everybody's jobs. Sponsored segment that DraftKings has asked us to do well.
I mean, not everybody's jobs. I think we're good.
Just the new
trying.
people, really.
Like Dan, Stu, you're good. I think you guys are good.
I'm not so sure.
Ethan, though,
I would like to point out to everybody, because I do think it's perpetually funny as we analyze the hell out of football at every turn, and we all think we know what we're talking about, and everyone around here is sick of me pointing out what I think is one of the most flabbergasting things of my lifetime, which is that somebody who was a 6-time executive of the year in football couldn't see the future coming so obviously that he thought Lamar Jackson couldn't play quarterback in the NFL, that he was somebody who should be playing a different position because Bill Polian's analysis of what looks like a quarterback looks like Peyton Manning. And so from there, long before Colin Kaepernick, race is infecting the thinking of people who are leaders and visionaries in that sport. So, Stugatz, look at the company Lamar Jackson is in, with games with 5+ touchdowns and 0 interceptions since 1950.
Okay.
An executive of the year 6 times said this person could not play quarterback in the league, was better as a wide receiver.
In fairness to that executive, and it's ridiculous, I made fun of him forever, but he would be probably the greatest wide receiver in the history of football.
Lamar Jackson is obviously a great athlete, but he was forced by the way that system was to prove it to everyone, drafted lower than he should have been when, Chris Sims was telling you this is the obviously best quarterback. Games with 5+ touchdowns and interceptions since 1950. Tom Brady has 8. But it took him to 45 years old to get them all. Think of Lamar Jackson's age. Drew Brees has 8, but it took him to 40 to get them all.
Right.
Lamar Jackson already has as many as Peyton Manning, 5, as many as Aaron Rodgers, 5, and as many as Ben Roethlisberger, 5. How old is Lamar Jackson? That's very fast that he's gotten to these games where he has these perfect games of no interceptions, 5 touchdowns, and also they've got the best rushing attack in league history.
He's 27 years old. Do it in the postseason.
Okay, agreed.
Dan, that's why I said earlier
Agreed.
I really want him to win because I don't want to apply postseason stuff to Lamar Jackson.
Agreed.
He might be the most talented quarterback I've ever seen play the game.
But it's the last place the goalposts will be allowed to move.
Yes.
Is guy who couldn't play quarterback win the Super Bowl and then win it again. But he will have gotten to where all the other goalposts were moved on him as a black quarterback, revolutionizing the game, because we also said he'd be hurt. And he plays an awful lot with a running style that is now backed by a guy that somehow was available for 1 year, $9 million. Nobody wanted Derrick Henry because the running back is disposable. Oh, look, you put him on Lamar Jackson's team, and all of a sudden, they've got the best rushing attack in league history, and they go to Tampa and put up 41 because they'll put up 40 on anybody except in the playoffs.
And for better or worse, though, it may not be the first thing they say about him, but it's probably the second. It's the top 2 thing they say about Marino. It's the top 2 thing they say about Charles Barkley. He's got to do it. He can't beat a team that's not scoring over 13 points in the playoffs. Like he's got to do it.
Agreed. And the last place that the goalposts will move, it's not just the title, and this is how you've got to earn it, because it's not just the title.
Yeah.
No, it's not just the title and the second one. This is the mind bleep of everything that Brady did to distort the system. Man, Mike has talked about this all season. Every quarterback before Brady, precipitous drop when they get to Aaron Rodgers' age. That happens every time history of the league. Brady changed how all of this is viewed. As it relates to Lamar Jackson, though, and this is when you're fighting generational people right in front of everybody's face for legacy on what the history record books say. It's not just that he has to win 2 titles. Hey, Lamar, you got to do it over Mahomes. Like, you got to get past that guy, because that guy's in the 20s in all the statistical categories. And every game I'm watching, I'm like, man, they're already using up his body, and it takes everything he's got to convert that 3rd and 8 on a 9-yard pass on that winning drive. But we all believe that guy's going to get it done in the playoffs. We're all terrified already because at 27, he's looking like he's going to grab the Brady stuff. Yes. From here, if you give him a good defense. Lamar Jackson has to do the hardest thing. He's got to beat an all-timer right now in the prime of his Hall of Fame career. And if he keeps finishing second to him, it'll be a blight and indictment on him, even though, Stugotz, you will find very few quarterbacks ever who have 3 MVPs.
It's crazy. But, Dan, he had an opportunity to do that to Patrick last year at home, and he put up 10 points.
And this season they played at Kansas City, and Mahomes beat him again.
Yeah.
But you realize that the only standard, the goalposts have moved on Lamar Jackson so much that it's, hey, wide receiver who can't play quarterback. Now you're only going to prove it to us if you beat Mahomes for the title. Because even if you beat Mahomes once and then lose in the Super Bowl, we'll be right there to breathe on your neck as somebody who can't do it when it matters.
What if Lamar Jackson's actually the best quarterback and Patrick Mahomes is chasing him?
What?
But the Super Bowl titles.
Yeah, but the MVPs, I mean, Dan pointed out there's very few with 3. You have Unitas, Brett Favre, Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, and Peyton Manning, who doesn't have 3, Patrick Mahomes. Lamar Jackson has 3 MVPs. All of a sudden, maybe he's actually the great quarterback. Patrick Mahomes is chasing him, and we've been following the wrong guy around because Patrick Mahomes has been elevated by his weapons.
Huh. We've been following the wrong stat around, is what you're trying
Possibly.
to say. Yes, it's MVPs and not Super Bowls.
That's what Greg was saying yesterday.
Yeah.
One of the great frustrations
Interesting.
I have about our football analysis around here is that Mina Kimes keeps saying that wins are not a quarterback stat, and Stugotz is going to go to the grave, man, holding on to wins as a quarterback stat. Yes, Mike. Yesterday on the show, Greg Cody was making the argument, backed fully by Stugotz's endorsement, that 0 Super Bowls are almost as good as Aaron Rodgers' 1 Super Bowl.
Huh?
The actual argument was that 1 is sometimes worse than 0.
Yeah, it's all about expectations. When you're Aaron Rodgers and there's clear and obvious talent and you only win 1, not good. Trent Dilfer, where there's no indication of any sort of talent, he wins 1, that's great.
But what do you mean? The Ravens' defense is the best statistically in the history of the sport.
Yeah, but, Trent Dilfer is not.
What do I do with Flacco?
This year they're not.
But Trent Dilfer, no one expected Dilfer to ever win a Super Bowl. He got on a team. He was lucky to win 1, but he got 1. That's enough for Trent Dilfer. 1 is not enough for Aaron Rodgers.
Like, Mike, remember how big that second one was for Peyton?
Yeah, but he was bad.
Yeah, but he got a second.
Still huge.
Yeah, but I can't forget about how bad he was in that one.
Plus
We
the
can all
5
agree.
But he's got
MVPs.
2.
Guys. Yeah.
Last
5
year's
MVPs.
Chiefs Super Bowl, that was a Super Bowl for Spags, not for Mahomes.
That's true.
Yeah.
So it's really 2.
So he really has 2.
That's not the way it works, though, Jessica,
I don't
because
know,
Brady
Dan.
gets all 7, even though a couple of those were won by the defense.
all
Brady
of them.
gets all
All
7.
of them were fluky. I don't give Brady any Super Bowls.
No
What?
Super Bowl.
All of them.
Brady.
What?
All
Well, he
of
did
them.
have one. He
David
Wow.
Tyree. Oh, don't hand it off to Marshawn Lynch.
Well,
Goose-
he
goose
lost
egg.
the David Tyree one.
You don't give Brady any Super
you're right.
Bowls?
No, you
Zero.
can give him the one in Jacksonville.
You got to give him the
Deion
one
Branch was
over.
MVP in
You
that
got to
one.
give him the one over Jake Delhomme.
The Falcons.
But if you beat Jake Delhomme, did you win the Super Bowl?
But we agree he has
They were all
2
fluky.
max.
But Jake Delhomme, to Billy's point, was better off not winning that Super Bowl.
I would have given him all the
Yeah.
credit in the world for the Kansas City one, but it was a home game and pandemic.
By Jake Delhomme losing that Super Bowl, he contributed more to NFL history than he would have had he won it.
Right.
You can't even argue that.
Yes.
By giving Brady another one?
Correct.
course,
yes.
yeah.
How funny would it be if that's one of Brady's blemishes?
Beating
It's just-
Jake Delhomme?
Like he's taken down Mahomes in a Super Bowl. Peyton Manning, he's his greatest rival, and then it's just Eli and Jake Delhomme
The Falcons
waving
one
at him.
should
Yeah.
not count.
What?
That's
One of the
Overtime.
greatest comebacks
At
in
some
NFL
point,
history.
it's too good of a comeback.
I'm here to
Doesn't
listen
count.
to it. Yeah. Go on. State your case.
Rigged.
Wow, rigged.
A comeback can be too big.
Yep. You're better off not coming back at all.
Right. Case closed.
The case is not closed. The case was only opened by you guys because I'm surrounded by a bunch of monkeys who open cases. Like what you guys have done to this show the last 2 days, arguing,
It was Greg.
no,
Man, I have a tummy ache. Nothing I say is legally binding, okay?
that is not how
That
this
checks
works.
out. That checks
That
out.
doesn't
Fact
check out.
check.
Case closed.
But that's not a binding contract. I have a tummy ache, therefore my arguments stink.
She has also 24 hours to take back anything. That's another rule.
I thought it was till the end of
End of the
segments.
segment.
Yeah, but tummy ache.
It's not 24 hours.
With tummy ache, it's 24
Yeah,
hours.
it is.
Thank you, Chris. Slippery slope.
You're welcome, Jess.
Put up on the screen, finally, somebody who is doing work for me as opposed to people who produce this show who don't produce it.
The Texas fan with the hair? Oh.
Here is the evidence that Engineering Catastrophes, it is the first show of a season on the Carrier Dome. Right here, Engineering Catastrophes is the name of the show.
Wait,
and
you told me that it was a special that praised its architectural wonder.
The old bait and switch.
And this is the episode that's called Stadium Disaster?
This is starting to make more sense.
What? Engineering
Were
catastrophes.
you like hoping to watch buildings collapse when you watched Engineering Catastrophes?
Slippery slope.
The Carrier Dome has as its roof a fabric like T-shirts to hold up the entirety of the pressurized dome.
Apparently not. It's a catastrophe.
Yeah.
It's under the episode called Stadium Disaster. You painted this as a good thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Agreed.
Next, you're going to come to work and be like, oh, I heard about this really cool long-haul flight that goes over the Indian Ocean. I saw it on a show on HBO. Malaysian airline.
The reason you guys could not find
Malaysian Marvels.
anywhere on the internet is because I indeed got the entire premise of the show wrong. The Carrier Dome is not an engineering marvel. It was representative number 1, show 1 of season 1 on an engineering total catastrophe.
Why'd you put it on?
I was tired. It's late at night, and I was looking. Don't tell me you haven't been here for exactly 14 minutes of television.
Oh, I've been there.
I was not looking for
You
something.
would just watch the 14 minutes where they were like, well, we thought this was going to be a great stadium, and then you didn't watch the other 30. I get it now.
There was all sorts of stuff I learned, including that portion of Syracuse, New York, there is more snowfall per year than anywhere in the United States. And so the fabric on top of the Carrier Dome is very flimsy and holding up a great deal of snow. And you need it because the dome is pressurized. And every time someone opens a door, you risk the roof falling in.
I used to play soccer in a dome like this in Illinois, and every time you walked in, your ears would pop a little bit. It was horrible.
Can you guys get for me, please, the sound I was trying to get to about 40 minutes ago of Kirby Smart saying that basically at this point in our lives in sports, the throwing of things on the field is something that's going to be rewarded. We cannot have a situation in sports. We agree on this, do we not? Because we just saw this in Dodgers Padres. You can't be throwing things on the field, but you certainly can't be throwing things on the field and then getting rewarded for it. Play the sound of Kirby Smart.
He just said the guy got it wrong, or the guy called it on the wrong guy, which it took him a long time to realize that, you know. So it's one of those things that I don't know what I'm allowed to say and not say, so I won't comment because I want to respect the wishes of the SEC office. But I will say that now we've set a precedent that if you throw a bunch of stuff on the field and endanger athletes, that you got a chance to get your call reversed. And that's unfortunate because to me that's dangerous. That's not what we want. And that's not criticizing officials. That's what happened.
I was worried about this, but I feel like McConaughey covered it. I feel like it won't happen again because of that statement that he made.
That was the slippery slope that you
Very
were talking
slippery.
about, that fans will get increasingly more angry and do more and more rash
Emboldened.
things so that they'll overturn a call. Not the slippery slope you mentioned last week, which was that it was bad for Sky Judge to overturn a call so that a team wouldn't have to use their
I actually think
challenge.
that is still slippery. Like, I have not closed the book on that slippery slope. Like, you can't just, like, there are a lot of calls throughout the game. You can't just say, oh, this one in the middle of the game, that penalty, that pass interference, we decided we're going to flip that one. Like, maybe put challenges in there. Maybe one team can have a bad call, like one bad call reverse the game. Like, it has to be even. You can't just pick and choose when you flip calls around.
Stugotz, do you not feel it's a bit dangerous to have a number of the ingredients that we're talking about at sporting events late in games? So it's Saturday, you've been drinking all day, you don't know how many unhappy people there just are generally in the world these days, angry about a million different things, including that things cost too much and it's hard to make the amount of money that you need in a divided America to not be angry and trying to blow off steam on Saturdays. We respect the athletes less than we ever have. There's a disconnect between how human they are and what we're entitled to in entertainment that make us throw popcorn at Russell Westbrook after the pandemic and just throws things on the field. Do you not believe, as we head toward an election here in 3 weeks, that there are a bunch of ingredients here that are going to lead to bad stuff when you have people entitled enough to throw things at a Dodger-Padre game onto the field because they don't like how, the outfielders are gyrating?
I mean, fans have been doing this for a long time. I'm not saying it's right, but they've been doing it forever.
Dude, I was at that Cal game.
Yeah.
There were 24 bottles thrown at our players, and not a camera caught it. It was a bad, ugly scene, and security was late to it, and the students at Cal Berkeley just totally skated on it.
Is it almost like how they don't show people running on the field? Like, you almost don't want to show it. Because now you show all the Texas fans doing it.
Brother.
I feel like it's more likely to happen after showing it.
Bruv, if those were Miami fans throwing 24 bottles at Cal players, they would have shown it.
I'm just saying, maybe you don't show it, or maybe you handle it the way you handle streakers. Like, if you really want to discourage this, don't show it.
I'd show streakers so you could laugh at how little their wieners are.
Yeah.
I always want to see the streaker,
My wiener
but they
gets
never
smaller
do.
when I
Public
run.
shaming.
Yeah.
I'm not afraid
That'll
to
stop
admit
it.
that.
But if you have a small wiener, you probably shouldn't streak.
I'm
right?
not saying it's smaller. I'm just saying
Mike just said
small.
his
I'm just
gets
saying
smaller when he
gets
runs.
smaller when
Pressure, yeah.
When you
Well, it's just
run.
like you're running.
Right, I'm running, yeah.
It's natural for it to go inside.
California's
it's like, oh, we're moving right
sneaky
now.
cold, too. California can get sneaky cold at night.
Yeah. Well, I'm not often running in California.
Right.
But you would have been if you had streaked at the game
Yes.
at California where there were being bottles thrown.
I wanted to.
What's
but
I-
my knees were shaking so much. I was so nervous.
What's ideal streaking like weather? Or, like,
Down here in Miami,
location?
where it's nice and muggy.
Swampy.
Yeah. Nice and muggy.
Swampy?
Yeah, I'm like,
You look good.
I'm like
Really?
ready. It's a good energy. I'm basically ready for prime time down here.
Billy,
all
what are
time.
you-
Don't do it this weekend. We're saying don't do it.
What are
this
you
weekend.
alleging is prime streaking?
I don't know.
weather?
I'm asking. I don't know. I'm not one to streak.
I'm saying low 70
Shocking.
degrees.
Yeah.
Low 70. I go low 80s.
Honestly, like my
The
penis,
hotter the better. I
My
mean-
penis is like the last thing I'm worried about if I go streaking.
What are you worried about?
I'm not worried. No one's got to judge my penis. My
Yeah,
penis,
the landals.
I'm all right.
you.
It's the love handles,
Yep.
the nipples, for
I
sure.
knew you were going
Yep.
to say nipples.
I'm right
my
there with you.
ass, I'm not crazy about my ass.
I'm
It's
right-
okay, but
right
I'm
there
not
with
crazy
you.
about it.
Right there with you.
Feet, I'd be more worried about someone. Whoa, you know how sometimes you see a still photo of someone like walking in flip flops. What if that happens to me and everyone thinks that I have this jacked up foot? But no, it's just in the air, and that's how toes work sometimes.
I'd rather have you see my penis than my hairline.
I have a good looking
Prove
penis.
it. Prove it.
I have a good looking penis. Like straight up, I'm proud of it. That's all right. But like the foot, no, thank you.
But not proud of it running.
Well, the
In
people.
cold weather.
Well, you know, if I apply the logic of being worried about someone taking a photo of my foot in the air because the toes are doing its own thing, it stands to reason that my penis would also be doing its own thing.
Yeah.
It's a perspective thing. If they catch it front on,
Stadium lighting, though, should be fine in that.
You're also worried about just the general optics of flopping in movement, right? You're just worried about the photography being unfair to you.
If it's raining outside and I'm not wearing a hat, I'm not going to run.
Because of how your hair would look?
Yes,
in the
you have
rain?
that overhead lighting in a stadium. It's just, I'm not doing that.
My penis does much better with wind than my hair does.
Chris, I've got to tell you that you streaking without wearing a hat, you'd have to wear a hat while streaking.
No.
But
It's not streaking.
But no, I know.
Oh, wait,
Wait
you're not circumcised?
Wait
Yeah.
a minute. Put it on the poll at
I'm cut.
Levitard Show. Is it streaking if you're wearing a hat? Because I think it is. If you're otherwise
No,
nude, I
no,
still think
no.
it's streaking.
Oh, you mean a hat for that head?
But Chris
And
Cody-
shoes because it's sticky.
But
That was a callback.
It's a callback to Naked,
Naked
Chris.
Chris.
Yeah.
Chris running without a hat also protects you because I think more people are going to be pointing at your hairline
I'm no Texas fan. Let's put it that way.
than your penis. I do believe your hairline it creates enough shame distraction so that the initial glance is not going to be lower body with you on streaking.
I didn't think you could have too good of a hairline, and then I saw the Texas fan. I'm moving it away from me, Dan. We're going to this
I
Texas
know.
fan.
But again, though,
It's right behind you. Look.
Yeah, we see what you're doing.
Again, though, I just want to ask all of you, the combination of human beings are generally angry. The athlete is generally being dehumanized. We're unhappy with officiating and unhappy in general. We're going to hit the wrong person with a bottle soon. I think that a lot of people will hear the name Danny Green and they will do sort of a word association with every time he shot a basketball, I thought it was going in.
Yep.
It seemed like it was always going to go in. That is not how I remember Danny Green. The way that I remember Danny Green is that in a way that was very confusing to me during very important basketball games, he is the best defender that I have ever seen in the open court when LeBron and Dwayne Wade have a 2-on-1 on him and somehow he can strip the ball. And I don't understand how it is that Danny Green, who I associate with shooting, could stop the most unstoppable thing I've seen in basketball.
So just in that situation.
Correct. I thought he was the best defender in the open court that I have ever seen in pivotal moments. I didn't understand it. How many times in the open court did you do something that you have no business doing because that was supposed to be unstoppable in the open court?
I mean, I've been lucky in some of those situations because it really is a gamble. But it's surprisingly, and I said, I'm very humbling that you remember that, and I pride myself on that. And one of the main things I want to be remembered for is like one of the best defensive guards, and also one of the best like shot blocking guards. So usually in open court, I'm more efficient at like trailing the play. If somebody's there to help slow them down, I could catch it at the rim or at the backboard. But when it's me on 2-on-1 or even a 1-on-1, it's a gamble, or even a 3-on-1. I have to kind of read the I guess the person with the ball's eyes in his mind and figure out, is he going to throw this way? Is he going to go left? Is he going to pass it? Do I make him give it up? So it's kind of a gamble. So I've been lucky in a lot of situations, and I'm not really a great gambler, to say the least.
Stugotz, he's a 3-time champion. I would assume that most people would just think he won those championships with the Spurs because they were playing in important games, but he won them with the Lakers and the Raptors and the Spurs. Can you tell us now, Danny, going back, what are something from those Heat Spurs series that can be told now that people do not know or do not remember? Were you guys as mad at Popovich for not having Duncan in there to rebound a ball that Chris Bosh rebounded as everyone else seemed to be?
No, we thought, Pop, nothing Pop did we thought was wrong. We thought he always made the right calls. And in the moments, we weren't even thinking about it. We were trying to go small so that we could play the 3-point line because we were up. We missed a couple free throws. But no, we didn't think he made the wrong call. Obviously, looking back at it, we'd be like, oh, it might have been nice to have Timmy. But no, and I was so young, I never questioned anything. I was young and dumb, didn't know much about the game. And I was one of the younger, not even a vet at the time. So there wasn't like, oh, why are we doing this? Oh, we should do this. It was just like, oh, okay, we're doing this. All right, that's what we're supposed to be doing. So maybe some of the older guys in the moment were like, maybe we should do this, that, or maybe some of the assistant coaches. But myself, along with everybody else that played, nobody really questioned Pop or thought any decision he made was the wrong one.
Can you give us a visual snapshot of what you walked back into in the locker room after Ray Allen made that shot?
After we lost, it was very, very dead locker room. It was dreadful, man. Just the dinner, I think we were in shock the whole rest of, I don't think anybody knew what to say, or you could just see it on people's faces and in their minds. You could read people's minds of just, couldn't believe what happened. We couldn't believe that we lost that. We can't believe that took place. So it was very quiet. It was a dreadful area. It's gloomy. All the words you can think of that describe something that was not a happy place.
Danny, did you guys think it was over?
No. We knew we had another opportunity when we played better. We just knew how tough it would be in Game 7. So at that moment, it felt like it was over that night. But once, after you get over it, you watch film, you see the mistakes you made and things that could have changed. You look at okay, we have another game to play. And we, Pop, coaching staff, and even our leaders put good encouragement in us and belief in us that we could, win the next game. So we didn't think the whole time that it was over. But that night, it kind of felt like it was over. But the next couple of days, next day or so, it took us some time to recoup. But we had belief in ourselves in Game 7. We played our asses off. But, they hit some big shots. Brian hit some threes. Mike Miller, James Jones. They had a bunch of guys hit big shots. And then, they got it. It was a close series.
You had a chance to make that Heat team underachievers forever. Like, that team winning only one championship would have made them a historical.
Now you're coming around.
A historical.
It just would have made them the Celtics. Yeah.
Wow. Celtics, wow.
It's not a narrative that's out there about that big three. It's kind of weird. Now, I actually Googled, and it turns out you have missed three-pointers, which really confused me. As a Heat fan, I never thought that you
I don't
you
believe
missed.
it. Yeah.
It seemed as though in most of the finals, and I know in the bubble, it was actually you did miss shots in that bubble because I remember being floored. Wow, he missed. But it kind of seemed like you were playing with the confidence that if you got the ball and you were open, you were flatly not missing. I imagine you heard when players had a defensive breakdown around you, they sighed because they knew what was coming, and that ball was going through the net. Did you feel that confident?
During that time, yes. I mean, I felt very confident. I had a great group of guys around me, coaching staff, teammates, and just encouraging. And yes, I think there was a moment where I was feared, or moments where I was feared at the three-point arc. I had to earn that, over some years of shooting it well. But yes, most of us do miss more than we make. So I do miss shots. And I do remember, the bubble being very different because I'm a player that feeds off the energy in the building, right? And especially in my younger years, there was a big discrepancy between how well I shot on the road and how well I shot at home. And not having fans there was a drastic change for everybody in the bubble. But being able to play in front of our group, in front of fans, even quiet in the crowd, it gave me a confidence, it gave me an energy that, was unlike any other. So I can just go out there and hoop and just have fun. But I also focus on just trying to beat them and not really thinking on, making mistakes or thinking about missing or making shots. It was just, these guys are beatable and we can prove the world wrong, and I could be a part of that. So I was just trying to do my best to prove, everyone wrong about myself and about our group.
I hadn't heard that about the bubble, that the crowd could be a positive thing for certain players. You just outlined
100%.
that you fed off the crowd, because if you look at that finals, Anthony Davis kind of shot like you from three-point distance there. There were a lot of guys that went – TJ Warren went crazy in the bubble. The sight lines.
The no crowd helped them.
The sight lines in particular from that lit studio essentially helped them shoot from distance. And your numbers, I remember that final being surprised that you were missing, because if this guy has perfect sight lines, he should be making them nonstop, and you were missing the crowd behind you.
It seemed like everyone else was shooting better than they've ever shot, and you weren't.
Some. It's like it affected some people differently than others. Some guys could adjust to it, some guys couldn't. And obviously, we were all in different headspaces. It's probably an emotional toll being in that space more than anything, mentally and emotionally. Physically, it's taxing, but being in that space, it affected everyone differently. Everyone reacted. Some guys played better, some guys didn't. And I think it took a lot of guys time to adjust. Even Bron, he's definitely a fan favorite, like a crowd player. He's a guy that plays to the crowd, whether it's good or bad. He feeds off of, obviously the energy at home and then on the road of trying to, shut everybody up. And you could tell even when we first got there, it took him some time to get used to playing without a crowd.
When did you guys know you're going to break the AC on purpose to rob the Heat of a championship?
What's crazy? I didn't even know it was broken until after the game. I'm so unaware of what the hell's going on. That
Likely
at
sorry.
halftime, I'm like, why is there so many fans? I'm like, why is it so fucking hot? We had fans in the locker room, and I'm noticing. I'm like, what? And at the end of the game, like, oh, the AC was broken. I think I noticed maybe at halftime, and I'm like, why is it so hot? And I'm like, why do we have fans in here? And I didn't understand what was going on. But then they were like, oh, I think the AC is broken. So yeah, we were just playing, and then obviously there was some crampage happening. With both sides, and
No,
They're
both sides.
It only affected LeBron. It only affected LeBron.
You made LeBron cramp.
The building maybe said he was dehydrated. There's a lot of it was hot as hell in there, man. I wouldn't say we had more subs than him, but he definitely. I think the series the way it was, he wasn't able to take as many breaks as he'd like to. In most playoff series, he's not. He plays 35 plus minutes in playoff series. So that can affect you. And I didn't know that the AC was broken until probably halftime, third quarter-ish.
I'm sorry we're asking so many questions about the good old days for you, because
the season starts tonight.
Yeah, the season starts tonight, and I promise we'll get to it, but you're kind of like a boogeyman for a lot of Heat fans locally, so we have a lot of questions that are of that era. What were your thoughts when Manu killed a bat?
Oh, yeah, Good question.
Twice. He did it twice, didn't he?
I wasn't shocked at all. That's just Manu. That's who he is. He's a fearless player, fearless guy.
He's right.
He's not scared of many things.
kills bad
He
stuff.
understands.
He's Blade.
You're usually afraid of what you don't understand. And he's a very well-read person about many things.
You weren't surprised at all.
Just Manu being
that
Manu.
a teammate of yours killed a bat in mid-flight on the court.
So Manu is one of those eclectic. He just said he's not scared of many things because he reads upon a lot of things. He's very well read, so he understands animals, he understands certain things, and he's just not scared of many things. So that's Manu being Manu. To me, he was always a god. So I didn't think anything less. He said when I was young. So when I watched Manu growing up. And all these guys were gods. So if I saw him afraid of something, I'd be
Danny,
very
you're
concerned.
not allowed to be unsurprised.
Knowledge is power, Dan.
Thank you.
Read a book.
You're not allowed to be unsurprised by your teammate killing a bat with his bare hands during the game on the court.
It's his teammate.
Manu's Manu. Yeah, he just reads.
Anyway, let's talk about some modern basketball. He's the host of the podcast Inside the Green Room with Danny Green, and the season is indeed starting tonight, so there are things worth talking about. Did the Boston Celtics, who made up ground on the Boston Celtics? They were a great deal better than everyone last year.
We're not getting you. We lost you for a second. Are you muted?
Only wants to talk about the old days.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, just pick up.
Yeah,
there we go.
Yeah.
Sorry. I said the New York Knicks. I think the New York Knicks made up a lot of ground.
Will we get that matchup?
Don't we have it tonight? We get that matchup tonight, do we not?
Yes,
we do.
in Boston.
Ring ceremony night. So yeah, I love that matchup. I think Philly made up some ground a little bit, but the Knicks I think are the biggest contender for them in the East. In the West, it's very up in the air. I do like OKC a lot. I like Memphis as a sleeper. I think those two teams will be leading the West if they stay healthy.
You're out on Milwaukee?
Yes, I'm out on Milwaukee. I just don't think they got better this summer. I just think they got a year of more repetition. Like Damon and Giannis got some year of being together, more time together, but they just got a year older. They added some decent pieces. I do like the DeLon Wright, Gary Trent pickups, but I don't think they got much better. I think other teams got better, and they didn't. I think Indiana's going to be better. They're going to be really good. Orlando got better. Cleveland's got everybody back with a new coaching staff. So the East is going to be interesting, man. It's not as weak as people think. I think it's going to be just as much of a dogfight and battle as it is out West.
Inside the Green Room with Danny Green. Thank you, sir. The next time you're on, we will talk to you more about current things. I was alarmed.
For sure.
I was
It's all
alarmed.
good.
The shipping container went all nostalgic on me. I was surprised by that.
We have a quick game, Dan, before Danny gets out of here. We do appreciate it, Danny. We play a game around here called Shot for Your Life, okay? You have to choose one of these two guys to shoot and hit
He
a
understands
three.
the game. It's not complicated.
I'm just making sure.
Okay.
Here are your choices. Larry Bird or Steph Curry. Shot for your life.
Your life.
I'm going. That's a tough one, man. Love Steph's game, one of the best shooters of all time, but I'm gonna go with Larry.
Yeah!
What?
Yeah!
What are you doing?
You are living, my friend!
No! Danny! How
And
can...
that's no disrespect to
None
to
taken.
Steph.
Yeah.
It is.
No, because I think Steph understands why. Granted, I think Steph is a very good clutch player. I just think Larry's a little bit more.
That's shocking. Danny, you have to get out of here.
If you look at the numbers, y'all you would understand. Larry to me.
If
Steph
I looked
comes
at
up in the big moments too,
I
just think Larry was a.
Danny,
It's his answer,
Danny,
Dan.
if I looked at the numbers, Steph Curry is a better shooter.
You're alive and you're right.
Clutch,
okay, don't explain
look at the
yourself.
clutch numbers.
Yeah.
Look at the
Clutch numbers. Look at them,
Look
Dan.
at the clutch numbers.
Look at
Clutch
them. Read a book.
numbers.
Danny, good
Hit a
talking to you.
Appreciate you guys,
See
man.
you
You guys
later.
take it easy, all
Neither
right?
of them are
Boing.
making it if it's a fast break and he's there in transition B.
Take it easy, fellas.
Thank you, Danny.
Yep.
As streaming changes, Stugatz, and viewing habits change, and there are disruptors on how it is that customers are consuming sports. Last night, something happened that I haven't seen happen a lot, which is there was a Monday night football game between the Chargers and the Cardinals that a lot of people were suddenly searching for. Where is this 9 p.m. Eastern time start? And how do I find it? It was just on ESPN Plus because our last days at ESPN, as we were trying to explain to them that we were their big digital property, and they tried to transition awkwardly into digital, and now Zach Lowe is out to sea all of a sudden when Zach Lowe has a valuable entity there, an audience that travels with him. The habits of people are changing so much that there's a soccer team in Inter Miami that exists behind the Apple paywall, and I wonder how many people are paying attention nationally, not internationally, to the fact that Inter Miami just had the best regular season in MLS history. Messi scored a hat trick the other day in 11 minutes. They've got the first team in the history of MLS that has 2 20-goal scorers because... You're laughing that it's a joke?
You can't have a hat trick in 11 minutes. I mean, it's impossible. He is playing in a lesser league. I mean, only the world's greatest soccer player could do it. It's like doing it against children.
Well,
I mean,
I think you kind of gave the answer away. Only the greatest soccer player could do that.
Do it in a real league.
He'd actually gone quite some time between club hat tricks.
I mean, 11 minutes.
It had been a thing about him, and then he erased all doubt.
Stugatz is not wrong, not knowing a minute of anything about soccer other than it's dead because no one scores. He is not wrong when he says this team of ringers for Inter Miami playing behind a paywall are beating a bunch of plumbers comparatively.
I mean, they're doing it
younger
with like
plumbers, though.
Luis Suarez doesn't have knees. He
I
doesn't
know.
have knees.
He's supposed to be old and done, but it tells you the difference of talent between Premier League soccer and what we're still playing in the States.
They're a damn good team. They set the record for points in MLS, and after the match that they most recently had, where they celebrated the Supporter Shield, which is how clubs pretty much everywhere else on the planet, how leagues pretty much decide everywhere else on the planet that you are the best club, you have won. Here in the States, we get down with playoffs. We like that. That's fine. That's actually what Billy's going to use to judge Messi ultimately. But the FIFA president was just like, and guess what? You're in the Club World Cup. Why? It's good enough for me. I've seen your resume. They have never been clear about what the qualification process is. And they just decided, by way of you guys winning the Supporters Shield, that's good enough for us. You're opening the whole thing at Hard Rock. Enjoy.
So wait, he doesn't have knees. So is his shin just go straight into his quad?
Yep,
he runs like Tars?
Basically, Messi sends in a cross, and it goes off of his torso.
He's Tars, Mike. He's just boop, 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 boop,
Yeah,
boop.
oh, from Interstellar.
Yeah, it was a callback.
I think he's just quads. I think at this point in his career that Suarez is just nubs, and that Messi pelts things off of his torso and nubs, and they also go into the goals so that they have 2 20-goal scorers for the first time in league history, even though those guys have missed games and stuff. It's not even like they're playing all the games.
No, Tata Martino's done an incredible job. They've had additional competitions, and they've been without Messi for an extended period of time. They've had to rotate in and out, and they just keep chugging along. But I just loved how FIFA that was. In that we have this huge, instead of doing the Confederations Cup where they take the one singular champion from each qualifying region to warm up a host city or host nation for the World Cup the following year, they decided, which is actually pretty cool, we're going to have a World Cup, but with just clubs. Okay, cool. What's a qualification process? You leave that to us. Well, Chelsea's in it. Chelsea's not even in the real Champions League. How's Chelsea in it? Oh, you know that pandemic Champions League? That's good enough for us. What?
I think it's fine. I think Stugatz is right when he says put Vanderbilt in the 12-team playoff.
Thank you.
Messi's on your team, just let them play important games. Just build
you have them.
Build the tournament around Messi instead of inviting Messi to your tournament. You invite your tournament to Messi.
There is no way Messi wasn't playing in this tournament. They would have found some way. Oh, no, there was a Leagues Cup. They won last year. That's good enough. Oh, host city. They get a bye. They would find a way to get Messi in this thing.
Mike, I do want to better understand behind a paywall and the damages of behind a paywall. The Messi enthusiasms in South Florida are fractured, Stugatz. This is an international city, and the many different nationalities here do embrace Inter Miami. But some of those nationalities don't necessarily have everything you need to pay for Apple Plus and to watch his games behind a paywall. When you see a soccer tournament played here and people are climbing through the ducks and stuff and we look like a third world country, we are an international city and some of our fans are poor. Some of our Hispanic fans are poor, but they care very much about this player. And I ask Mike now, as someone who was priced out, Mike Ryan makes a decent living in Miami. He was priced out by the gouging that this club was doing because they're trying to build an economy around Messi, a stadium around Messi, and you do that with winning.
He was priced out on tickets, right?
Yeah.
Yes, okay.
Yes,
I was priced out on tickets.
Right.
Yeah.
What'd you think he was priced out?
Well, I think Dan's talking about paying for the
Being
streaming
able
services.
to follow,
Right,
I've been able to follow them, and it should be noted that Apple TV some time ago decided, hey, if you just subscribe to Apple TV, you get the MLS package for free now. Because before it was you had to have both and then pay an additional fee to have the MLS. Now all you have to do is pay Apple TV's subscription price, and you have access to MLS. So maybe that makes things better. I think that I didn't agree with the gamble that Major League Soccer took. I've said this a couple of times. I think you maybe make that bet after a World Cup, but people really discount how huge that thing is going to be here. Our show finds a way to get obsessed with the World Cup when it's happening, when they don't move it to the middle of football season because they want to, acquiesce to the Middle East because of the money that's pumping in. But it's a major event, and it is a huge launch pad for that sport in this country. And I think you take the years in advance of that to get as many people possibly in the tent. You have the world's greatest player, and he's still kicking ass. He is still amazing. He's still
hat trick in 11 minutes.
He's still
Against
Argentina's
plumbers.
best player. He's still
Young plumbers.
he's still the guy that helped lead Argentina to a World Cup over a year ago. He is still that dude when he is healthy. I think you use that opportunity to get as many people in the tent, and they haven't been super inclusive. And that's a huge disconnect in this country with the sport. I'm not just talking about how accessible it is on television. I'm talking about how accessible this sport is to play. There is a major difference about how easy and accessible the game of soccer is overseas in other countries than what it is here, because you have the pay-for-play model, and it's such a racket. All these traveling teams, there is essentially a fence drawn around the sport when all you need is a ball. That's why the major ground that the U.S. soccer program needs to clear is accessibility.
Messi needs a second World Cup, right?
No, he just needed the one.
Nah, they're better off winning none.
What's your thoughts on this one?
You think Ronaldo's better off for not winning one?
Debatable.
Yeah.
I can't believe he
No, what
continues
are you
with this
doing?
argument after
It's
2
Greg.
days. He
Guy,
finds it
Guy,
from
what are you
every
doing?
angle. Every angle. The thing
You don't get up and leave after that.
Look, he
You
feels
don't turn
like
your
he
back. You
feels
don't
like
do that.
He
I
nailed
don't
it.
feel like
you don't
anything.
do that.
It's soccer is dead, no goals, and now
I
his-
just say Messi needs a second World Cup. He
What?
does, Dan.
God.
You can't be the
They
greatest soccer
happen every
player.
4 years.
I mean,
It's
who-
hard.
I mean, come on.
What, yeah,
Madonna-
come on.
You hear that, Mike?
I mean, give me some soccer, but give me the all-time greats who have only won one World Cup. Go ahead.
Good question.
Like
List
Messi?
them. Pele. I mean, he's
Messi.
won like 3.
Okay,
I mean,
but Messi is really, really fantastic, and he needed the World Cup to cement his legacy, and he got
My
the World Cup.
point in
Second.
talking about all of this was simply Miami gets behind winning energy. This is a team that
Miami does, but this isn't Boca.
This is a historic team, and you, not that long ago, were ready to pay any price just about to be a part of the electricity that should presently be coursing through your body because Inter Miami has the best team with the best players. Miami historically always gets around that, and it doesn't seem to have climbed onto your bandwidth.
Right. Well, that money had to go to Cam Ward.
That's what happened, isn't it?
It's business is booming. Hey, everybody, it's Mike Ryan, and I want to tell you about two of my favorite things, football and Miller Lite. And when you combine the two, that makes for one heck of a Miller time. See, Miller Lite has great taste, but is also less filling. And football, well, it's just spectacular from start to finish. You put those two things together, you've already carved out a perfect day. Miller Lite keeps things simple with undebatable quality, great taste, and only 96 calories. It's a beer that strips away everything that you don't need and holds on to what matters most. A light beer that actually tastes like beer. Make your game time taste like Miller time. Tastes great and is less filling. Let it be both. To get Miller Lite delivered right to your door, visit MillerLite.com/Dan. Or you can find it pretty much anywhere that sells beer. Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. 96 calories per 12 ounces. Fewer calories and carbs than premium regular beer.